Hello, little witchlings and princelings, and welcome to your weekly Coven Summoning. My name is Ilsa.
And my name is Stacy.
And we're Caffeine and Conjuring,
a fantasy bookish podcast where we will discuss some of our favorite fantasy reads.
So before we get into the episode, I'm going to start off with our spoiler warning, which isn't my normal go-to. We normally get a few sentences in before I say this. But please, if you haven't already, read Throne of Glass, Crown of Midnight, The Assassin's Blade, and the first 49 chapters of Heir of Fire, so nothing gets spoiled for you. So last episode, we ended off, Selena and Rowan are having a little heart-to-heart. She's asking about his tattoo experience. He's asking about her experience with Arabin, and they mingle their breaths in a very intimate setting.
Oh, the breath mingling.
And he says they are not just friends, but also not just friends, but anyway, there's a relationship blooming there. Like there's a little spark of something.
Yes, there are embers.
Yes. Embers glowing from within.
I have seen a couple comments now of people saying like how am I supposed to ship Rowan and Selena when they're cousins? I've seen so many like comments on that now. And I think I would have like ignored it previously because the names wouldn't really have meant much to me. But now that like, you know, we're getting there. I'm like seeing it, and it's like when you get a new car and then all of a sudden you start seeing all of the same car around. It's like that. It's like that. But yeah. But I have seen people say too that it's like you have to think of it as it's like your relationship or your
I mean, there's hundreds of years in between.
Exactly.
Their age. Like,
yeah, it don't even matter.
I mean, most of Newfoundland is probably related if you go back that far, but no one has a family tree further back than like 5 generations. So
yeah, I do. I like hyperfixated on my family tree back a few years ago.
I don't want to know mine. I know enough horrible things about my family. I don't need to know more. One side of my family is not too bad.
Yeah, I'm more so focused on one side of my family.
Yeah.
Shocking.
Anywho, going back to Selena's other cousin, we start off chapter 40 with Dorian.
All hot and heavy.
And also, a lot of the people who complain about not being able to root for Rowan and Selena were 100% rooting for Dorian and Selena. So.
Oh. That's fair. That's fair.
And they are closer in age, and that is ickier.
Yes. Yes.
I never had a problem with that. Now, I also really enjoyed reading Credence, so I don't know what that says about me, but...
Yeah, we don't judge here.
Nope. So yeah, chapter 40, the chapter starts with Dorian and Sorsha sharing an intimate moment, and they're expressing their affection and the constraints of their relationship. Sorsha says her greatest wish is for a morning where she doesn't have to run out the door at first light and then leaves. Dorian is obviously conflicted about his relationship and how it can't work with his obligations and being bound to the crown. Cale then visits Dorian, and these two are still at odds about everything to do with Selena. Dorian challenges Cale's perspective and asserts that Cale must choose whether to be an ally or an enemy of Selena's. And I have quotes this time. Not many, but I have some. I don't know what it is, like, I just don't focus on highlighting stuff when I'm reading.
Same. The only time that I actually, unless it's something very specific that I do pick up on, but most of my highlights come after when I'm doing my notes up. I'll go back to the chapter.
So yeah, Dorian says, you cannot pick and choose what parts of her to love. And that that. You know she's an
Yes.
assassin. Do not get mad when she does assassiny things. It goes back to that. I've been saying it since the beginning.
Yeah. Literally.
But anyways, the chapter then shifts to Adian, Kale, and Ren, who are waiting for Murtaugh's return. He arrives with grim news. General Narek has taken fleet to Wendelin, potentially with monstrous creatures. This is particularly alarming because it coincides with Selena's mission in Wendelin, and things are looking grim. Again, Kale's loyalties and his reluctance to fully commit to his side is being questioned. Adian's words are harsh and accuses Kale of being indecisive and clinging to a dying dream. The chapter ends with Kale deeply troubled, informing the king of his decision to return to Aniel. So when your men have died around you, when you have seen your woman unforgivably hurt, when you have watched droves of orphan children starve to death in the streets of your city, then you can talk to me about sparing innocent lives. Until then, the fact remains, Captain, that you have not picked a side because you're still a boy and you are still afraid. Not of losing innocent lives, but of losing whatever dream it is you're clinging to. Your prince has moved on, my queen has moved on, but you have not, and it will cost you in the end. Oof.
Oh. That's so hard to read as a Kale girly. That was so hard to read.
That's like a
because I know
pow
it's
right
true.
in the kisser kind of.
Yeah. And like he needs to hear that.
Yeah.
He really, really does. But it's just hard because I feel like he's being bullied. And I just want to protect him. In chapter 41, we're back with Selena, and she settles into a routine of training with Rowan. She continues to explore her magic, but despite her initial struggles, she finds some comfort in the routine and the conversations she shares with Rowan. She learns more about his past and his views on Maeve, which fuels her own growing resentment towards her aunt. She even says that she hates her.
Yeah.
And as Beltane approaches, and that's the spring festival.
Yes.
Was it the spring festival, Beltane? Selena and Rowan are tasked with managing the bonfires for the celebration. And during the event, while attempting to control the powerful flames, Selena pushes herself way too far, and she experiences a burnout. And to me, you just say, oh, she's just burnt out, she'll be fine. This was intense.
She was literally on fire from the inside.
Yeah. This was a dangerous magical overload. It wasn't just burnout. This is insane. But Rowan, with the help of others, rushes Selena to a cold bath to stabilize her, and he has a surprising level of care and concern for her. After this part was, I really like this. Obviously it was not a great chapter for Selena, but it was just, it really just unlocked that between Rowan and Selena. Kicking my feet.
When he sees her back and that protective alpha hole comes in, he is like, who did that to you? I'm just like, melt. I'm done.
Not at that part yet, Ilsa.
Sorry.
But yes, same. Okay, so after the immediate crisis passes, she's stabilized. Rowan sternly warns her about the dangers of overexerting her magic and the importance of recognizing her limits. And then he discovers the scars on Selena's back.
Does he?
Whoop, that's going to be loud. I'm so sorry, future Ilsa. So, like you said, he has the big, who done this? It, deeply affects him, and she does, reveal or whatever about, how it happened, within Dovier and everything. And Yeah, he sort of like he restrains himself, but he is still obviously stricken by it. And it ends with him just abruptly leaving. And Selena is just left to process his reaction. Like,
I don't know if it's because I'm reading all the grumps in Elsie Silver, but I'm just picturing, like, the teeth grinding, stern face, like,
clenched jaw.
yes, just all that man just angry because someone
The,
touched her.
the tick in his throat, like in
Yes,
his neck.
yes.
You know, like just, yes. Yeah.
We're reading about some very beautiful men right now, and that's at the forefront of my mind. If you haven't already picked up an Elsie Silver book, they're all wonderful.
Oh, yes.
Oh, she can write a man.
You will never look at real men the same again.
That's depressing. So, on to chapter 42. This chapter is such a powerful exploration of vulnerability, trust, and healing between Selena and Rowan. Rowan is deeply affected by the sight of Selena's scarred back, and this ignites a protective and almost possessive anger within him. Yes, indeed it does. And he struggles with his feelings and the implications of Maeve's deception. Driven by this protectiveness, Rowan returns to Selena's room and, without giving her a choice, moves her to his own room to ensure she's warm and safe while she recovers from her burnout.
Yes.
Yes, please. He sets clear boundaries, establishing that this is not an act of pity, but rather a matter of necessity, and she needs to hear that.
Yeah.
Like, just
She's
that
very
sentence
proud.
alone does so much in terms, like, where her mind is.
Yeah.
Selena, in turn, reveals her own vulnerability by sharing her past. She recounts her life before Endovier, the loss of Sam, the horrors she endured as a slave, and the events that led her to becoming the king's champion. She explains her reasons for withholding this information, her desire to avoid pity, and the fear of being seen as weak. There's a massive shift in their dynamic here, and Rowan listens with unwavering attention. The physical closeness and the emotional intimacy of the shared experience begin to forge a deeper connection between them. Selena awakens to find Rowan still holding her hand.
Yeah.
And then, Stacey, you have another quote here.
It's like the last couple chapters of, or last couple sentences of this chapter.
Something molten rushed through her, pouring over every crack and fracture, still left gaping and open, not to hurt or mar, but to weld, to forge.
Chapter 43. Rowan insists on caring for Selena after her burnout, keeping her confined to his room and ensuring she eats and rests. Like, that shouldn't be a task. If he was like, you have to stay in my bed and I will feed you, I would have zero complaints.
Yeah. None.
Yes, sir. But she does protest, but she's still too weak to really, truly argue it. Their conversations become more personal, with Selena learning more about Rowan's past and the nature of Fae magic, including the concept of Karanam? Karanam? It's
Karanam, I think.
It's the Karanam. It's the rare magical bond that allows a Fae to give their magical energy to another. Do we have some foreshadowing here? I wonder. A significant part of this chapter is dedicated to Selena's training again. Rowan pushes her to master the art of shaping her fire, moving beyond simply creating a flame to forming weapons and shields. Their training sessions are intense, with Rowan challenging Selena and pushing her limits. Selena struggles with control, but her determination and Rowan's relentless instruction lead to gradual progress. The chapter ends with Selena finally achieving a breakthrough and successfully creating a fire shield. She continues to hone her abilities, practicing with the ward stones before dawn.
Okay, I have to ask because I'm
Mm-hmm.
only going to read part of this quote out if your answer is no, or fuck, I don't want to point anything out. So obviously you said you know that there's a relationship blossoming. You've seen people talking about shipping the two.
Yeah. Yeah.
How serious do you believe that relationship will be in the series?
I mean, I don't know if it's hopeful or if it's my actual theory on it, but I don't know. I think that they're bonded. Like they're going to be like mates, I think.
Okay.
If that's what you mean.
I didn't I have a quote.
It's always so funny seeing you like struggle with trying to figure out if something is going to be too spoilery.
It wouldn't be an issue if I didn't open my big mouth before and like emphasize on something, but of course I did. And now it's like early for it to be brought up, but you seem to know. At least to some extent.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Okay. If it's about Selena and Rowan, I feel like it has been really obvious. If that's what this is going towards.
Kinda, yeah. It'll be more obvious if you connect what I'm about to say. But she didn't open her eyes, but she breathed in the smell of them, the pine and snow, and her pain settled a bit. At least if you're going to hell, he said, the vibration in his chest rubbling against her, then we'll be there together.
Pine. Pine.
He smells like home. I've been wanting to say that for months.
Yeah. Was this the first time that she mentioned him smelling like pine? Because I feel like
it's the first time I picked it up
too.
while reading it. Like, that I focused on it.
I seem to remember that being mentioned once before that he smelled like pine, but
it probably
maybe
was,
I'm just
because they talk about smells almost as much as eyes. I probably just I initially highlighted it because the whole going to hell together thing was funny, and then I noticed now looking at it, like right above it was like the smell of pine. I'm like, fuck, do I add that? Because I also have a quote from the next page. It's more like a lighthearted moment between them. But still, the next time she used the bathing room, she'd snuck behind his chair at the work table and planted a great smacking kiss on his cheek. He'd waved her off and wiped his face with a snarl, but she had the suspicion that he'd let her get past his defenses.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He could have easily ducked away from her, but ugh, they're just so cute.
I'm officially gonna say it. Team Malin and Rowan.
Oh, I don't know why. I think it's because I was reading the first part of chapter 44. I thought you said Minan and Rowan. I was like, what? Where did this come from? Oh boy, wow. You really threw me for a loop there for a minute. And it was my own fault.
Imagine all this tension and Rowan and Minan were in game.
Yeah. That's bizarre. That would be bizarre.
Yeah, Dorian's still my fave, but for Aelin, I am definitely a Rowan girly.
Yeah. Yeah.
If anything was spoiled for you, I'm sorry. You, Stacey,
Me
or you,
or
the listener.
listeners?
If you've read this far, you should know.
Yeah. I mean, I've picked up on it with the amount of talk about like mates and about being bonded and just their tension together. I just feel like if you haven't already gotten to the point of independently thinking their end game, I just feel like, I don't know, like you haven't been reading it. Because it's just been obvious.
I haven't wanted to say anything because, like, I didn't know where your head was at with it, so I was just like asking about different characters and trying to like beat around the bush about it a little bit. I'm like, she hasn't brought it up. Maybe she's not there. Just like, I want to talk
No,
about it
it's
so bad.
no, I've definitely assumed, that's it. Like that's them.
Oh, do I have the fan art photos for you?
You can send me.
All right, getting back on track here. So in chapter 44, we're back to Manon, and her grandmother is pressuring her to make the crossing, threatening severe consequences if she fails. The pressure is intensified by the fact that a Kraken witch was spying on them. Manon's grandmother slices down both of Manon's cheeks.
Yeah, because her grandmother was all like, why did I have to find it from Iskra? Like she was
Yeah, and
all
she's been
pissy
down
this
questioning the
chapter.
witch for 2 days, and you've said nothing. You've done nothing. Yeah.
Bitch.
So as Manon prepares for the crossing, the tension is thick. The other witches, including Astrid and Sorrel, show their loyalty and defiance by subtly preparing to defend Manon and Abraxas if necessary. Abraxas, in a significant moment, displays an unexpected level of awareness and defiance. He growls in warning at Manon's grandmother, sensing the threat and refusing to be forced into the crossing. This act really solidifies the bond between Manon and Abraxos, showing their mutual respect and understanding. And it was such a sweet moment. Like, all this chaos going around them, Grandmother Blackbeak is flipping the fuck out, and they just kind of like have a little nod and huff, and they're like, yeah, we're in this together.
I want one.
Yep. So the crossing itself is a breathtaking and perilous event. Manon and Abraxos plunge into the narrow gap, relying on the strength of the spider silk on his wings. The other witches, and even the blue blood heir, Petra, create a rhythmic beat, a powerful display of support and solidarity that resonates through the mountains. In a triumphant and awe-inspiring moment, Abraxos wings hold, and they successfully navigate the crossing, defying expectations and asserting their strength and resilience. And a big fuck you to Grandma Blackbeak.
Yes. Oh, I love that chapter.
Yeah.
And we're back with Selena and Rowan in chapter 45. And surprise, surprise, they are training again. But the discovery of another mutilated body interrupts them. Selena and Rowan investigate, finding evidence that connects the creature to the one Selena encountered in the library's catacomb. The investigation forces Selena to confront her past and the lingering trauma of Endovir. She shares more details with Rowan about her experiences and the rage she struggles to control. As night falls, they set a trap for the creature. Climbing into a tree to wait, the close proximity prompts a more intimate conversation. Selena reflects on her past relationship with Kale and her uncertainty about her feelings and identity. She also seeks reassurance from Rowan about the nature of the mate bond. She's grappling with whether Kale had been her mate or not, because he states that like you wouldn't be able to hurt your mate.
Yeah.
And she starts thinking about how, like, when she found Nehemia, she attacked Kale.
Yeah. And she would have killed him if they didn't stop her.
Yeah. Yeah. But Rowan, like, offers a bit of comfort and honesty, and he says that she hadn't been in her Fae form for 10 years, so perhaps her instincts weren't able to take hold yet. Or maybe Kale just wasn't her mate. Maybe.
So you're thinking that you can have more than one mate?
Yeah.
You should check your messages. A little sneak peek fan art.
I'm opening. Beautiful.
We are
Beautiful.
thirsty and feral. It's all good. That should be our new slogan.
Very much
Thirsty and
so.
feral.
I'm game.
Thirsty, feral, and raw dog in life.
3 perfect words to describe us.
So, chapter 46, Selena and Rowan investigate the caves along the coast, following a trail left by the creature. They discover a hidden network of caves occupied by Artelanian soldiers and the monstrous being. Rowan confirms that these creatures are similar to the ones Selena encountered in the library, and that they are holding the demi-fae captive. They realize that the creatures are likely targeting the demi-fae for their magical abilities, either to control them or to exploit their power. These creatures pose a huge threat to the fortress and its people. Rowan and Selena plan to warn the Wendelin forces, but the distance and urgency of the situation force them to consider a more immediate course of action. They decide to confront one of the creatures directly despite the risk, to gather information and potentially protect the demi-fae captive. The encounter is intense and terrifying. Selena gets a closer look at the creature, noting its unnatural appearance and deadly capabilities. The creature's presence is described as a smudge of blackness that disrupts the surrounding environment. As the creature moves closer, Selena's nose begins to bleed, mirroring her experience in the library. The chapter ends on a cliffhanger, with the creature vanishing and Selena realizing the danger Rowan might be in. At least we didn't have to end there.
Yes. Yes. I also found it, I don't know why, but I found it so funny that when she was like talking about the physical attributes of these creatures, how sensual the mouth was. Like, why? Why is that the descriptive word for him? Whatever. So chapter 47, the chapter opens with Selena finding herself face to face with the creature. Its dark power instantly paralyzes her and suppresses her magic. Like, she is fucked right now.
Yeah.
She's drawn into like a terrifying trance, only to be violently pulled away by Rowan, who, by the way, that image just reminded me of, because he has to bite her to like kind of bring her back out of the trance. Like, the pain snaps her back to herself.
That would snap me into something.
Ugh. And then like he's like, all of her blood is like down his chin, and it was just like
hot.
Like, why am I into this? Like, can we just blame Twilight? Anyways.
The awakenings I've had since I got back into reading.
Don't even recognize myself anymore.
My teenage self would be like horrified at first, but then be like, that tracks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like the connection wasn't made when I was younger, but it was definitely there. Like being disappointed when the Beast turns human at the end of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. And looking at his stupid pretty face being like, are you sure?
Yeah.
I don't know about that.
I've always wanted to pick the bear.
Yes. Okay, so after he like brings her back out of the trance that the creature put her in, they just bolt. They are running for their lives, and this creature is just relentlessly pursuing them into the mountains. They realize that they can't outrun it. And Selena is like, I have a plan. And I'm just like, oh no, girl. Oh, what's going to happen? So she basically is using herself as bait, I guess, kind of, because she goes to lure the skinwalkers. And these are like the ones that they had an encounter with earlier in the book. So she's banking on Rowan keeping the other creature sort of preoccupied for a couple minutes while she's off getting these skinwalkers, and they're all like, Faye, bitch. So she hauls them back, like lures them back to where I don't know, what do you call the like monster thing? Do we have a word for him yet? They just keep calling him the creature.
Yeah, there's no name for it yet.
Right now.
Uh-huh.
I figure it's coming. That obviously it's important. Okay. So she lures them back, and it's like this clash, this battle. And ultimately the skinwalkers win. And and Selena and Rowan like fuck off up in a tree, and he's like shielding her body with his to like mask her scent, and it's lovely.
Yes.
But you know, obviously they're very scared. it's not a great time to be up in a tree, but they do hold tight to each other, and they just don't sleep at all for the rest of the night. Like they are just there. And it doesn't even like really give us any information on how they, I guess the skinwalkers just leave and they just like bounce back, but that's all we get for that chapter.
So into chapter 48, this chapter starts with the fortress preparing for the inevitable battle with Nera. The king of Wendelin has agreed to send men. Selena questions why Rowan is not sent for the Fey warriors. It's discussed that Maeve would order him to return home, and Selena says, for whatever it's worth, all of this just proves that she doesn't deserve you. I think you know that too. He looked away. That isn't your concern. I know, but I thought you should still hear it. Oh, my little heart.
Yep.
So the next afternoon, when Selena leaves Rowan's room, she notes that the fortress is tense and there's a deep and heavy quiet settled over the compound. When she finds Rowan, it's obvious something is very, very wrong. Rowan delivers a crushing blow. News of uprisings in the slave camps, Calcula and Endovier. Oh God, why is this my chapter?
Mm-hmm.
The King of Ireland, in an act of merciless cruelty, ordered the complete slaughter of every slave. Thousands. This shatters Selena. She is consumed by grief once more. However, now she also feels guilt for the people she left behind and the failure she feels in not being able to protect them. Overwhelmed, she pushes Rowan away and flees the fortress, finding solace only in releasing the extent of all of her magic on an invisible barrier protecting the fortress. Channeling her grief and rage into the barrier, burning and burning until she's empty. I don't think Selena needed any more fuel on her path of vengeance and retribution, but here we are.
How much more can she take?
A lot.
Like, she shouldn't have to.
God, is it bad? Like, what she's been through is like nothing on what she's gonna go through?
That's scary. That's a scary thought.
And in one book. The events of one book is probably worse than everything she's been through combined.
Oh my God. Why? What does Sarah have against Selena? Why? Well, Oh, our last chapter for this episode, chapter 49, and
Man, this was a
it's
hard
equally as
episode.
heavy. Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that was a
This
rough slew of chapters.
yeah, there was a lot that's happened. A lot.
It's like an emotional roller coaster because one minute you're like super happy there's a relationship blooming, and then, oof, this happened. Oh,
Yeah.
Manon and her wyvern are excellent. Oh, thousands of children are dead. Like,
Yeah. Yeah, like all of Nehemia's people that Selena vowed to save. All of her own people.
yeah,
The children, just there's so many. So many. And now we get everybody else's reaction to that in this chapter. This starts with Kale, who's been feeling increasingly uneasy about his role in everything. He is being questioned left, right, and center on where he stands. So he's been going through the motions of his duties, but he's been thinking a lot about where his own loyalties lie, especially after his talks with Adian and Dorian. Then during a state luncheon, the king drops the bombshell. And he was like proud of it when he said
yeah,
it. But he announces that the slave rebellions in Calicola and Andovier have been dealt with. Which is his way, of course, saying that he ordered a mass slaughter of every single slave. And Dorian is visibly shaken by the news. He then rushes to Sorsha, desperate to get her out of the castle because he's terrified of what the king might do to her if he finds out that she's been helping him. And they have this really intense conversation where he's begging her to leave, but she refuses to abandon him. And it's just, this whole part of this chapter just really shows how much they care for each other. I think this was like the most we got out of their relationship in the entire book.
yeah.
And then, meanwhile, Kale finds Adian in the tomb, and Adian is clearly devastated. And he talks about how, like, the terrible things that he's had to do, and, like, this latest atrocity just pushes him over the edge, and he's questioning everything, and it's just a really raw and emotional scene. And then finally,
Oh, God.
there's this incredibly powerful moment at the Royal Theatre where the musicians, as an act of mourning and defiance, play the songs of the enslaved nations. It's a silent but incredibly moving protest, and of course we know what happens because he's done it before. He shut down the theater and makes the musicians just disappear.
Yeah.
It really brings it back full circle to the singer. Was it in Crown of Midnight or was it in Throne of Glass?
I think
I
that
don't remember
was
which
Throne
one.
of Glass.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
pretty early
Where she
on.
was. Yeah. Ugh. What a visual the last part of that chapter
Yeah.
painted. Ugh. I hate this king. I hate him. Ugh. What a shitty way to end this chat or this episode. It's such a low,
Yeah.
such a low point.
There's gonna be
I
a
was so
lot of
sad
episodes
reading
ended
this.
that way, I think.
That's rough. It's so rough.
There's gonna be some episodes where, like, the entire episode, we're just gonna be like, you're gonna be able to hear the sorrow in our voices the entire episode. Like, there's just gonna be lack of happiness.
Sobbing. I'll be sobbing, trying to read out my notes and just be like, oh my god.
Espresso depresso.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I have anything
don't-
to say about what we've read that I can say at this point, other than A-Team Rowan.
That's fair. That's fair. I don't have much more to go off of right now other than, like you just said, Team Rowan. But yeah, other than that, it's just more hatred for the king. I'm nervous about the whatever's going to happen now with what's his face, the boys that are over going to attack Gwendolyn or Mistward. I don't know how that's going to play it because I'm pretty sure there's going to be deaths. I mean, I know it's not going to be Rowan, but Luca, is that his name?
There's a Luca,
the one in the... Yeah, that's my theory. He's going to die. Probably all of them, to be honest, but I think that is going to be a big ol' hit. That's my theory there.
No comments.
Or my speculation. I know. And Kale is going to be on his way to Aniel at some point. At least he's making another step towards that by telling the king. God only knows now. Like, we're what, 70% now, I think, through the book? Oh yeah, you don't see it that way, do you? Because you've got... Oh, there's that picture again. Let me pop over to my Heir of Fire and see what percentage we're at. Oh, I just opened Wild Love. Whoops. Chapter. Okay, Heir of Fire, we are 76%. So we only have a quarter of this book left.
I just did another fan art. I have to send it.
I am opening and waiting. Here it is. Oh, oh my god. Why is he so pretty?
And the funniest part about those fan arts is I don't think either of those scenes actually happen, like, in the books.
Yeah.
Because basically everything's
that's just
closed
up
door.
to our imagination.
Yeah.
We just gotta imagine it.
Yeah, this is the fanfic fan art.
That's okay. God bless the artist.
Yeah.
Well, I'm always afraid. Like, when we start getting closer to the ends of these books, I'm always afraid how it's going to end. Thank God we don't have to, like, wait.
Yeah.
Really? Like, it's not like we have to wait for the book to come out or anything. We can just jump right into it, but holy shit. My brain is going to be, like, reeling over these last few chapters. There's a lot happened.
Yeah. I'm starting to get into the nitty gritty now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, like, more impactful things are happening now. Like, worldwide. Because, like, leading up to this has been mainly just small scale. Well, I say small scale, but, like, Selena's own... I don't know how I'm trying to explain this, but now it's like there's wars happening.
Yeah, like king versus queen kind of wars.
Yeah. So I'm really intrigued to see how this is all going to play out now.
Well, I guess now you know the answer to the question I asked you a while back, and do you know why the king started wanting aerial armies and expanding so intently right now?
Yeah. Also, I think it was a couple of episodes ago, or maybe it was the last episode, maybe, when I asked, when we were talking about the weapons that the king had, I had thought along the lines of the wyvern. But now I'm thinking that when it was mentioned about the weapons that the king has, it's these creatures. I mean, both, technically both, but I wasn't thinking, and I don't know if I just didn't put it together or I skipped something and didn't try, like, didn't notice that I skipped over it, but it wasn't until these chapters that I put 2 and 2 together that what's his face? I don't remember what his name is again. No,
Norak?
Norak. Yeah, and like the creatures or whatever were part of the king's plans. Like, I didn't really put that together until that chapter where Adie and Kale, oh shit, what's his name? Murtagh and Ren. Yeah, when he, you know, was talking about the king and sending over the fleet with, there's too many fucking names. But anyways, that was when I really clued in, thinking like right. Okay, so the king is doing a whole lot more than I initially
They did
realized.
mention too, I can't remember what beings they mentioned it for, but some of the monsters had the black collars that matched the rings.
See, that's why I need you with your little, did you notice this? Because I am liable to accidentally, my brain reads like the top of the page, the middle of the page, the end of the page, and then it just fills in the rest. So sometimes it gets a little crazy. But yeah, I cannot wait to see where it goes.
So yeah, I think that's it.
Yep, I think so.
Until next time for possibly a little more lighthearted of an episode, but also probably not.
I hope so. I'm not optimistic about that yet.
At least we'll get more Rowan.
Yes.
Oh no. Oh, I know oh no, it's not gonna be lighthearted.
Fuck.
Because there's 2 episodes left to this book, right? There's no way either episode is gonna be lighthearted.
We have episode 24, 25, and then 26 is our final review.
Yeah, none of those episodes are gonna be lighthearted.
Damn it.
We're dwindling down on how many lighthearted episodes we have left for this series.
For this series? Oh shit.
Like, obviously there's still some good that happens, but it's a lot of...
I was gonna say, from what I've seen people saying that the series like destroys them, I am very not no, I'm very pessimistic about how much light there is in it. Oh no.
The light in the second half of the series is like the angler fish in the bottom of Mariana's Trench. You can see it if you're within 50 feet of it.
Okay.
I like that analogy. Because it's very accurate.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait for all the emotional damage. I'll wear it like a badge.
Yep. Oh.
And with that, our Coven summoning comes to a close. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
And follow Caffeine and Conjuring on Instagram and TikTok to stay up to date on our journey through Throne of Glass. Chapter, hear the call. Adventure always be